Good afternoon. This is Thursday, February the 26th, 3:30 p.m. live screen show. I wish I could share something more exciting for you folks this afternoon versus the 10 o'clock hour this morning, but I really can't. Uh, we are in a pattern now for the last 3 days. As you can see on the chart, we have now traded 54.5 million shares on the SPY. Currently, it is still fractionally lower and sitting at an 89.77. The Dow Jones Industrial Average sitting at a 94 spot 61. The NASDAQ 99 spot 74, and the Russell 2000 at 99 spot 98. I think this will change, however, come tomorrow morning before the 10 o'clock show, because we do have the release of the GDP number, which is always make for a pretty good headline here. I personally think you can forget about the 4%, 5% growth that the Fed wants you to believe is going on. I think that number is going to continue to be around the 2% and show a deceleration year over year on that number. So I think the markets right now are just biding their time for that, waiting for that number tomorrow. As I said earlier, however, the CPI number that came out this morning, it fell negative 0.1% year over year through January here of 2015. And what's interesting about that number, looking at a chart on the year over year time frame there, if it were not for the housing data, we would be in a deep, severe deflationary environment. There's no question about that. All items in that report, less taking out the shelter number, was just fell off a cliff. It was down like closer to negative 2.5%. on that CPI number. You had core goods negative, below zero. Just goods in general, just fell off a cliff. So if it were not for housing, that actually showed a positive, roughly 2.5% area, we would be in a pretty big stupor here in a deflationary environment in this country. But please, don't pass that information on to anybody, because we've been talking about that trend for a number of months now, and I think it's kind of now finally hitting home with a lot of the so-called old Wall Street pundits there. So things are not very good in the economy, folks, out there. That's just the facts. I don't make it up. I just report it. And that's what you have. So this globally central planned stock market, it's sad. Quite frankly, it's sad. It really is. Because we all know what the end result's going to be. So we'll just deal with it. That's where we are. All right. Right now, we've got the VIX down 10 cents. It was down a lot lower than that, as you can see, at a 27.40. So it's made a pretty decent comeback there today. 2.22 is just kind of, actually, it's a little bit higher than where it was there earlier today. It was limit down at a 1.15. So even though it's red here, we'll see what that looks like at the end. Again, I'm buying it. I own it. I'm going to continue to own it because I'm hoping tomorrow is going to be the day when that GDP number crosses here and all hell breaks loose in these indexes to the downside. Again, with no liquidity and volume the way it is, it will not take much to knock this market down a few hundred points just like a blink of an eye on this stuff. TZA, of which I went long first thing this morning at $10.75. If you are looking for another something different long, 0.02. It is what it is. 10 days in a row, red, 0.02. Do you think that's going to go up, or do you think that's going to go down from here? Just thought I would throw that out at you there on that. Not much we can do over here. Large cap, extreme oversolds. Pretty much the same ones that were here earlier this morning. Kraft Food, however, is starting to show up. Interesting. Actually, very interesting on Kraft Food, large cap. Because this is looking pretty good here, this divergence going on the daily. So that's something new. Actually, there's a few of them on here now that were not here earlier. I'm not sure what these things are, and the numbers aren't quite good enough yet, but they're getting there on that. Apple, by the way, Apple up again today, but still does not look very cool to me. I think it's going to work its way lower on there. SQQs, of which I am long, as you know, I will continue to hold. It's not low enough for me because my last buys on that were around the the 25.05 level on there. Still oversold. I'm very comfortable in holding these things here, quite frankly. Very comfortable in holding them, knowing what's going to happen. It's not even well, I sound like a broken record. It is what it is, right? Not sustainable on this stuff here. But what is starting to, I'm always looking for little nuances here. The risk range, how it has tightened extremely here on the SPY. Kind of, along with this volume that's pretty much non-existent, it's kind of starting giving me the reminders of back here. Do you recall the September time frame? Back in these days here and where the volume was at the upper part of this channel? Yeah, I thought you did up in here. Well, we also remember what happened come October, right? Once we kind of topped out here, guess what happened? Feast your eyes down here. Volume picked up, red bars got bigger, market volatility increased, and we had a pretty good 10% correction in October, did we not? So it's kind of given me that same type of a feel when I look at the volume back then, look at the tightness of the risk range. We'll see. Just kind of I'm always looking for things to draw comparisons to. And that's one of them there. I think that's going to probably play out pretty accurate, by the way. I will go on record and say that. I think it's going to play out on there. Okay. Here's an interesting stock. I came across this, by the way. I want to show you this Hologic. I'm sorry. This is a daily number at a 98.74. I'm going to switch this over to the weekly number. We got a 97.29. I'm going to switch this over to the monthly number. We got a 97.48. I'm going to switch this over to the quarterly number. We got a 96.17. I've never seen a stock like that. In all those four different quadrant time frames, deep overbought on an individual stock like that. That's pretty wild. Now, I certainly don't want to look at the yearly. Well, I have no yearly number. But I don't think I've ever seen that with an individual stock before. So I would think on all time frames that, yes, is indeed an overbought stock. I'm just saying. Just saying. And wow, look at this thing. As far as power bars are concerned, not even close on this last run on this thing here. So I just wanted to kind of put that on the list just to show you what we have going there on that one. Okay, that's all I have. Again, all eyes on the GDP report tomorrow. I do think we're going to get volatility one way or the other. The probabilities of continuing to go up with a 99.98 on the Russell 2000 goes to 99.99 tomorrow if everything is hunky-dory. I don't think the probabilities are very good, but hard for me to play that side of it, that's for certain. And again, nothing changing here. We continue to have the negative daily divergences. Have a good evening. 10 o'clock tomorrow. Be here if you can. It should be quite interesting. Take care.